many of the Aboriginal and Native American cultures had some type of concept of a spiritual gift, or it would be called a medicine. In Australia and the Aboriginal folks, they would call it your dreaming. And it was these spiritual gifts that you had that could make the people stronger, you know. And so there's been a lot of focus on that in the work that I do, and also a lot of the spiritual, various pursuits of like finding your medicine, or finding your purpose, and offering that to your people. And so what is sometimes missed, I think, is that the context for this has always been the people, has always been the community that you exist inside of, that that you are a part of, and so the value of your medicine was always the value that it brings to your people, and our culture is has become, generally speaking, more individualized than the communities that these ideas were born in and practiced for thousands of years, And so it can be easy to remember that context of community was so important. And so, so when you would receive your medicine, that would sometimes come in visions, in dreams, in ceremony, in spiritual experiences. It was like a gift from spirit, like it would get awakened inside of you, and it would be this experience like that. And so often, and then, but the I call it the crucible, if you will, or the ground, the proving ground of where that would unfold was always in the community. So then we would receive this vision, if you will, or we would have this gift, and then we'd begin to offer it to the people. And then that's how the integration happened, okay? Because the vision is the vision. It's like the pure idea or the pure concept or the pure energy awakens in us, and then we work with it, and we work with it in the context of community. And we and I talk about trial and error. We try this, and that's not quite it, let's try this, and then it touches people, and then we learn about it, and we practice it, and we hone it. And so, I just think that that's a really important thing. I focused quite a bit on community last week, and I want to continue this idea. So then the question gets to be, like, our culture, American culture, at least largely, has lost this idea, or these examples, not the idea of, but have lost a lot of this focus on community. Now, some of you are fortunate enough to be part of communities and be part of spiritual communities, and that's perfect. But we used to just live in that community, and we were in it 24/7, and so it's a little different now, and perhaps, hopefully not, but for many of us, it's a little different. And so community has become a little more fragmented. It's a little here, and it's a little there. And some of it's, you have community at work, you have community in your neighborhood, maybe you have community online, maybe you have community, in your spiritual group or your yoga class, and I talked about several of ways to develop that last week, so then we still have this idea of our medicine, and so how can we find our medicine, and how can we develop it and offer it to the people, whereas there was a place for that in these Aboriginal and Native American communities. It was part of the fabric of the community, and that may or may not be true now. So we need this way, I think we do anyway, we need this way to find our medicine. And although I said medicine is often found in visions and dreams and spiritual experiences, there can be this kind of reverse engineering thing that happens as we can look at the effect that we're having on people. And that can be a clue, and it can be guidance as to what our medicine is. Okay, and it's also feedback about how to, obviously, as I've been saying, how to develop it. So if we look at how we're affecting people, the other lens I would invite you to consider is often this medicine is an energetic medicine. Okay, it's, you know, we're very focused on doing things and doing these interventions, and that's really good. We need that. But also, sometimes our medicine is very subtle. In fact, the first book I wrote on Your Natural Gift, I defined it as the natural effect you have on people when your heart is open. And I was talking about that medicine. So when your heart's open, you energetically have an effect on the people around you and further than around you as well. But we'll start with the people around us. And so it's when your heart is open, it's touching people. And that is an expression of your medicine. Okay, whether you're doing a ceremony or doing a session or doing a reading or whether you're working, it's even when you just smile at someone and ask them how their day is, and your heart's open when you do that, that has an effect, and that touches them and that uplifts them in some way that's sometimes a little intangible. So what you can do is notice the effect that it's having, and you can notice what people are coming to you for. An example of this would be when someone says, you know, I always feel really safe around you. If someone's saying that to you, that's a real clue as to what your medicine might be. Now, that may be because you've done heroic acts and you've helped keep them safe, or it may just be a feeling. You may be just showing up with your strength, you know, and your courage and your sense of, you know, being grounded and being true to yourself. And because of that, they may feel safe around you. So then that's a clue as to what your medicine is. And so people will come to you at work, you know, and in the neighborhood and the various communities that you're part of. People will come to you and they will say, hey, can you help me out with this? And so that is really important to understand, because then you can begin to notice what that medicine is, and you can start crafting it and taking it deeper and offering it. The timing of offering it. When do I open my heart and offer it? You know, when are strategic times to offer it, and what do I say, and how do I introduce it to people? You know, these are all really important things. So these are things that you can perhaps, if you'd like, begin to notice and begin to pay attention to, because it's already happening. But when you bring your awareness into it, then you can start, you know, working with it at deeper levels and become more conscious of the effect that you're having, which makes it more powerful. So that is my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful week. And my suggestion is invitation is just to perhaps notice, you know, how people come to you and what they're asking, and how that your heart and your presence and how your presence is affecting people. So anyway, I will see you in a week.